Good evening, everyone. Pursuant to Missouri Statute 610.212, I'd like to call to order the Real Estate Committee meeting for September 15, 2025. Roll call, please.
Ms. Henry,
Present.
Ms. Johnson,
Present.
Mr. Watson,
Present.
Dr. Borchardt, Mr. Conover, Mr. Marston,
Present.
Mr. Hikes.
Present.
Have a quorum.
Thank you. First, we have approval of minutes for the date of August 18, 2025, Real Estate Committee minutes. Can I get a motion, please?
So we got the agenda first, I think.
Can I get approval of the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda for today's Real Estate Committee meeting.
Please.
Second.
It's been motioned and second.
Ms. Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Dr. Borchardt, Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Now I have approval of the minutes from 2025 Real Estate Committee minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from our August 18th, 2025 Real Estate Committee meeting.
Second, please.
Second.
It's been motioned and second. Vote, please.
Ms. Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Dr. Borchardt.
I have a question.
Your mic, ma'am.
The writing on the side, when I look at the minutes, the name's going down the side. Will that be corrected?
Hold on, let me look. So when I'm looking at that, I'm not seeing that. Are you talking about on the public view?
Uh-huh.
So what was submitted, I'll correct it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's an error with the system.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
motion approved.
Thank you. Wait for my computer to come back up. I think I got it. Next, we will have I got it. We have a community collaboration and partnership. Yes. Ms. Henry, we have a 13th Street Vacation and Interco Plaza letter of support.
Yes, sir. Mr. John Berglund and Ms. Clara Anderson are going to speak to a couple of items. They would like a letter of support, and they want to explain their whole project with the Interco Plaza. You can come on up.
Members of the committee, thank you for hearing me today. My name is John Berglund. I'm the manager for the ownership group of the Post Building, which is right across the way here, which we began a little over 7 years ago and began an $80 million renovation. In that time, we have Square, the mobile payments company, which is our anchor tenant. Most recently, we signed Scale AI, which you may have read in the paper a couple of weeks ago, also moving in the building. And one of the things that we have in there is event space. In 2024 alone, we had over 40 events and conducted 80 tours of the building. And as part of the, as we've gotten to know SLPS and working to be good neighbors, we've hosted events with SLPS. And so Claire Anderson here has been working closely, I think, with Square Watson as far as developing a more formal MOU in terms of how we would structure those events. And so one of the attachments that you have is the MOU, which is paperwork that SLPS has. And we can go over the specifics of that, but basically it allows for events to be had in the building. Claire, how long is the agreement for? 1 year. For 1 year. And then at a discounted rate. There are many aspects of this of which we've put a summary in as far as we've got technology in the space. If any of you were at the back to school event that was had a few weeks ago, we had 800 participants, which was part of the green space. The weather was really iffy, so we were able to use the kitchen facilities, and it worked out really well, I think, for both SLPS as well as for us. And we're very glad to be part of the Downtown North community and extend it. Historically, you've had things like literacy at the Lou, at the St. Louis Public Library, and I think that's also an option that we can have here. So the MOU formalizes the agreement as far as the different events. The other aspect, there are 2 other aspects also that are incorporated in here. The first is that we are working on a vacation of 13th Street, which is a couple of blocks to the, it's between Tucker and 14th, and there's a stretch between MLK and Cole Street, and it's largely been abandoned for north-south traffic. We have the support of the alderman and the mayor, and I believe that, my guess is this is within, like, say, a 500-foot radius, and so they're asking for, if SLPS has any concerns with that, or perhaps a letter of support. Closer to that, so item number 1 is having the events and formalizing that. The second thing would be is the vacation of that street. Closure of that street will allow us, we own both sides of the street, and that will allow us to provide greater security. We're going to combine the properties on both sides in terms of parking and allow for better access for the tenants in our building. The last aspect is Interco Plaza, which is immediately adjacent and which SLPS owns a portion of, with the vacation of Hadley immediately to the west. We own a portion of Interco Plaza, which we purchased approximately 4 years ago, and we are petitioning the city to purchase the rest of Interco Plaza. We would not be buying any of the land that SLPS currently owns. That would stay in the same ownership that it is, as well as St. Patrick's to the south. As you may be aware, we had an issue with encampments following COVID, which really I think became an issue for St. Patrick's, for us, and I think for SLPS, with tents that resulted in some violence and even a fatality. And so working with the city, we erected a fence in order to minimize the future encampments coming on board. And we are now petitioning the city to buy Interco Plaza, which we would substantially turn into parking, which will allow us to, again, the first question we get whenever somebody wants to lease space in our building is, where do I park? And this would provide more accessible parking to our building. And so what we are looking for from SLPS is a letter of support for us to purchase Interco Plaza. We're currently working through survey documents, through an appraisal, working with the comptroller. And so there are many steps that would still be involved, but by, the property is really just this abandoned piece of property that's never really had a design. It's kind of just been forgotten about. It's nothing like the wonderful green space that you have between yourself and the garage, which is really wonderful to look at and nicely maintained. And the city has never really taken true ownership of that parcel. And so by having that there, we can take better care of it, and again, helps with lease up. I kind of said a lot there. Claire's here, she's more involved with the specifics, but again, repeating, the MOU effectively is for the events that we are having with SLPS. We would like to continue that. The vacation of 13th Street between Cole and MLK, and the purchase of Interco Plaza from the city of St. Louis. So that was a lot. but I'm glad to take any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yes. Do you have any diagrams of that lot that you're talking about?
I do have a diagram of the proposed parking. I did not bring it here today, but I can make it available. We would comply with the city standards for parking lots with regard to runoff, fencing, lighting, screening, and access. They have a new ordinance that you can't just pave everything over. So we would comply with the new standards.
I think this is a question for Ms. Henry maybe, but is the MOU what's linked to from the agenda?
No, we didn't get a copy of that.
I see. So we can certainly remedy that, and glad to get you a copy. I apologize for that.
Along with that, could you provide like a
Absolutely.
design of what
Yep.
the vacant lot would look like?
Yep,
and-
be glad to do that.
Superintendent, you have any questions?
My questions have been asked. I wanted to see a diagram as well, and I tried to find the MOU and realized it wasn't linked, so.
Right. Apologize for that.
Nice. As part of the MOU too, I guess, would that have the rate for the events with SLPS, like the,
I think so, yeah. I think it would have the rate established in there as well as the number, there are a certain number of free events and discounts.
Hello, everyone. I'm Claire Anderson, and I'm really your operations lead for any of the events that have happened past summer. I wanted to thank everybody in this room. We've received a ton of amazing emails. Dr. Borshade, when I got your thank you email, it was so great. But we have had, with no incident, some fantastic events in partnership with SLPS. We're proposing an 80% retail rate card deduction that includes not just a nonprofit rate, but also an SLPS-specific discount rate. And so currently, we're under purchase order negotiations with Mr. Halliday Douglas with the foundation. He's been a huge supporter of a lot of the facility-based costs. In addition, your early childhood education just completed professional development in our space, and we're thrilled to kick off literacy in the Lou in the next 2 weeks. So if anyone's invited to the HR party with the Christmas planning, that's also underway. So we have a lot of really fun events. We just wanted to thank your community for your enthusiasm for our space. And so that is our proposed rate deduction, is 80% off retail. And if I can answer any specific event-related questions, I'm really boots on the street related to security as well.
How many events have we held at your facility over the last 2 years?
It succeeds me. So far since August, we've had 6. And
August of this year?
Correct. We have 4 in production now that our signatures are underway. And so, were there a lot of events prior to that?
You know, we had a lot of conversations, but I don't know that we had, and where we shared Hadley and things like that, but in the building, there may have been 1 or 2, I think, in the preceding year.
It was really the tornado response that caused me to walk over here and start making some friends. You know, it occurred to us that facility-based meetings, and it could be tight here at your HQ. So having the walkable space at the post, it's been a huge addition to our community here. But prior to my seat here, there's probably nobody coming by and making friends with Linda Smith, et cetera.
Thank you.
Just have a clarifying question. For the MOU, is it with St. Louis Public Schools or with the St. Louis Foundation?
This is with St. Louis Public Schools. And really, we extend those same retail discounts to both.
So with the MOU, there is still a proposed rate for St. Louis Public Schools?
Correct. It's 80% off, and it typically goes within a reservation form where we take all the rooms and take the retail rental rates and take about 80% off for you.
If you can you give me like an average cost to the district for the 6 events?
Absolutely. So it's probably been a purchase order, about $6,000 across 6 events.
So about $1,000 an event?
That would be a good average.
Any more questions? Well, I would like to say first, thank you for taking that walk across the yard to come to see us. I really appreciate it, because the school district need all the help we can get from corporations and their funding and all that stuff. So I'd like to be the first to say thank you.
You're welcome. We love working with your teams. Thank you for your time.
I can explain it for you, Mr. Hikes. The next item? Okay. So the PAC committee has presented to this committee several times, and we need a formal vote on their participation on this committee. My recommendations are within your packets, so we just need a vote from the entire committee on how to respond to their request.
I need to make a motion? Or do we need to have further discussion?
I do. Are they voting members?
So they didn't make that clear. The 3 times that they were here, they didn't make that clear exactly what they wanted from this committee, and that's why my recommendation is what it is. I'm not really clear on what their goal was as partners in tax abatement.
Thank you.
So are we, for all intents and purposes, are we making a blind vote here? I'm just,
Well, no, they've presented to the entire committee
Okay.
three times now.
ma'am.
May we limit their participation to tax abatement issues alone?
That's the choice of the committee. We could.
What was that statement, ma'am?
To consider limiting the PAC's involvement with the committee to tax abatement issues alone.
Question? How many years have this been brought forth to the committee for consideration?
This is the 2nd year.
And we're still unclear of what the purpose of their request is?
That is correct.
Yeah, just a few questions. First, yeah, I didn't realize they'd already visited this committee 3 times. I was here for the last visit, but so I've only seen them once. I guess there are community members on other committees, like the audit committee, for example. So it's not. I think almost all of the committees have community members on them. And I guess I sort of wanted to understand Ms. Henry's concern more too, because it seemed like you were specifically concerned about tax abatement and TIF votes. Is that true?
That is true.
Yeah, and I guess I was wondering if the concern is that either this community representative would be more permissive or lenient about tax abatements, or less, or like tighter with tax abatements, or just that we just don't know? Or
My reservation is that we don't really know what they're seeking to gain from being members on this committee, and we should limit the amount of exposure SLPS has when it comes to committees and quite frankly, tax abatement because it impacts our revenue. So those were my reservations about having those. And then we discussed tax abatement mostly in closed session. So it would be kind of awkward to have that person in that setting as well.
Got it, I think. So in a way, it's sort of it'd be the reverse of the idea that this representative would only be involved with tax abatement and TIF questions. It's almost, you would prefer that they not be, that's specifically what they would not be involved with, which is another thing we could vote on, I guess, would be that they could be a member, possibly even a voting member, but not on tax abatement and TIF questions.
Can I state my concern? Not only I agree with your concern, but in terms of your question, we do have community members, and if we would extend this real estate community committee to community members, I think it would be better served to have representatives not of an organization and or a group. We would extend it to actual residents of the community. I do remember being stated that when I asked what participation this committee had of parents from both North and South, there was not a clear answer on that. So because they are a organized committee, I don't think it would fit your term of having a community member.
I don't know, having an organization apart, it might be open up a can of worms, because then you might have other different organizations wanting to pull in. So I don't know if that would be in our best interest. I mean, they always are welcome to come to our meetings, but to be physically on the committee, I don't know if we want that. And that's just my opinion.
And this is I'm asking this question because I really don't know. Are there members of the Parent Action Committee on other St. Louis Public Schools Board of Education committees? In other words, people who are parents who are on the Parents Action Committee are there people who fit that description on other school board committees?
To my recollection, there are committee members on Prop S, but I'm not sure about which other committees.
Okay.
And they are representative of themselves, not of an organization. They may happen to be a member of that committee, but not representing themselves as a committee, if that makes sense. They're a parent.
There are others on the legislative committee.
That's right. Like Gloria Dolan, if I remember right, isn't she on the legislative committee? Maybe. It's a big committee. Okay.
I guess our biggest issue would be, would they be privy to closed session? And that would be my concern, and that's just,
I think we've been very open and transparent where they have been able to come and present as a committee to this real estate committee. I don't see any issues with that continuing as public, but having a request by a committee such as that does open the doors for other committees and or organizations to feel as if they can request part of our committees that focus on SLPS. I agree with you, Chairman Tracy, that that's a slippery slope that I'm not sure we as an organization wants to take.
So are we ready for a vote?
I don't think there's been a motion yet. Yeah.
I need someone to make a motion to allow PAC participation to become a member of the St. Louis Public Schools Did I explain that correctly?
Yep.
I move that PAC has participation in the SLPS Real Estate Tax Abatement Committee.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
On the question? Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Henry,
No.
Ms. Johnson,
No.
Mr. Watson,
No.
Dr. Borchardt,
No.
Mr. Marston,
Abstain.
Mr. Hikes.
No.
Motion denied.
Thank you, everyone. Virtual bridge lease buyout option, Ms. Vaughn, Ms. Henry.
Yes, sir. 2 meetings ago, Vertical Bridge presented us a buyout lease option for the cell tower at Nance Elementary School. Since then, they've also given us a lease buyout option for the cell tower at Long Middle School. And those lease buyout options are within Diligent, but just at a glance, typically we receive about $12,000 a year from our lease options, and they've given us 3 buyout options for each site. At the first site, they offered a lump sum of $165,000 as option 1. Option 2 is a 3-year installment at $185,000, which is $46,250 a year, and then a 5-year installment option for $200,000 at $33,333 for 5 years. That's at site 1, and then at site 2, the lump sum is $152,000. The 3-year installment is $175,000 at $43,750 a year, and then a 5-year installment option at $190,000 or $31,667 a year. The committee asked me to come back with this information. Most cell tower leases are between 5 and 10 years, and currently we receive $12,000 a year. So I am in support of each buyout option. I would have to, of course, discuss with finance about what can be done with those funds, but we significantly reduce our risk by selling those options. So that's all of the facts if anyone has any questions.
Any questions?
Just for clarification and for the public, what do we lease? Can you explain exactly what we're leasing?
Absolutely. Those 2 sites have cell phone towers on them, and they're both used by U.S. Cellular, so we sell the rights to use those cell towers on our property. They're both on our property at Nance Elementary and Long Middle School.
Maybe Square can answer this one. On the aspect of the maintenance side of it, we will not have to do any work on the maintenance side.
No,
correct?
and we don't maintain them now. Vertical Bridge maintains them now.
Okay. They just need access to the building 24/7.
Not even the building. Those towers don't interfere with our buildings at all.
All right, thank you. Any more questions?
So are there any downsides to leasing or selling access for the wireless towers?
I'm biased, but no.
Okay. And this would be an exclusive, it'd be exclusive access for U.S. Cellular, for Vertical Bridge. In other words, if another carrier or another cell phone tower company came, they couldn't also put up a tower, right? Is that right?
Correct, and they would have to deal with Vertical Bridge directly because they would own the rights for those towers.
Okay, so, right, so, okay, so if any other carrier wanted to have a signal there, Vertical Bridge would be who they would have to work through. Are there any other tower companies that either already have towers at other buildings or that have approached us about putting up towers other places?
No, we've had leases at other sites in the past, but those are the only 2 we have right now.
And I guess my last question, I could calculate this myself a little bit, but so there's 3 options here, right? There's like one-time payment, there's over 3 years, and there's over 5 years. And in deciding among those, I'm kind of looking at the return rate, because you get a little, like, you know, the longer term ones, you get a little more money, but then how does that compare to what it would do where we would invest it otherwise? And do you have a recommendation about which duration?
So I say the 5-year installments on both. Obviously, it's the maximum amount back, and then for the 5-year, it's an additional $21,333 at the first site, and at the second site, it's an additional $19,667 a year. Of course, those are for 5 years, so it won't be after that. But that initially will be a big revenue boost.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
Is there a reason why now Vertical Bridge, because we lease directly from them?
Yes, they lease from us, uh-huh.
Is there a reason why now they are requesting for us to sell? Meaning, what is happening in the area?
So Mr. Fiore did share that they are trying to buy out options for all of their sites, just to have more control over their financing moving forward. And then I can always bring him back if you want to ask him some additional questions, but he just shared that they're trying to exercise those options at most of their sites right now.
Any more questions? Is this something we need to vote on?
We do. We've brought it a few times, so we need
Okay.
to, if we're going to agree to it, we need to select an option so I can get it back to them.
Okay. So as a committee, which option are we best comfortable with?
Could I throw in a legal aspect? I
But of
think in
course.
part, the sale, we would need to know the terms of successor agreements. What, if we did a 3 or 5 year buyout, if you will, we want to make sure that we protect it should the company change hands or go under. Do you understand my concern?
So will we need to find that out before we vote then, correct? Or we can, I'm just,
So the draft agreements are indigent, both of them. I can look for that language in there, and then I can come back, we can come back to the next meeting if we need to.
I've not had an opportunity to review, I'm sorry.
and that's fine, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know if there is a successor clause in there. If I were making a motion tonight, I would move to approve the lease buyout for 5 years at both properties. But it would be good to know for sure that there's a successor clause in there.
Could we make it with that contingent, or that wouldn't be in order?
I don't feel comfortable on voting without having our legal counsel look at the agreement.
Okay.
I think that's a good point to make, because they could sell and then we may not get the rest of our money in terms of the clause being there or not being there. So I would suggest or recommend we hold this to the next real estate meeting, allowing our attorney time enough to look at the agreements.
And I can agree with that. So there's no need for a motion on the table. I didn't make a motion. I'm just. Oh, so everybody's clear on that issue? Okay, Ms. Henry? Let me see.
And then lastly, for tax abatement tips and tax credit applications, we had 5 individuals to submit their information for their low-income housing tax credits. Not every entity requested a letter of recommendation from SLPS, but 2 did, and one of them is here to speak to the project and answer any questions. And the outcome would be, of course, SLPS would provide a letter of support for their project. So, Ms. Hughes, could you come on up? And Ms. Hughes is representing Fleur de Lis and the Mark Simmons Development Project.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to attend your meeting today. So I appreciate, again, for those of you that may not know me, my name is Laura Hughes, and I represent Fleur de Lis Development Corporation. Almost a year ago to the day, I purchased that particular property from St. Louis Public Schools Board of Education. So again, that was a huge win for both of us. It was emotional for me because I attended Simmons Elementary School, and you did too. Yes. And so for that, as you know, not only is it a magnificent building, but being a historian and just truly loving everything associated with the Ville, it was colored school number 8, and it was the 8th elementary school, or actually school period, that was available for African American children. And so the fact that that school still stands, even after the May 2025 tornado, it's near and dear to my heart to continue pushing for the renovation of that particular school. That school is a part of 2 major redevelopment plans, the first being the Ville Chapter 99. Under Alderman Moore's assistance, we work to establish Chapter 99s for everything from Lexington to Page, and then, well, actually Lexington to Kennerly, Kennerly to Page, Newstead to Whittier. So that entire section is a part of Chapter 99, meaning that as a developer, I planned for redevelopment of the entire community and not just the Simmons School. Simmons School happened to be the first, given that it had 58 units available that we could repurpose and turn into housing. But of that, again, there are about 600 parcels that fall under that development agreement. The purpose of that development agreement was to work with other developers, not just specifically individuals within the community, but a combined effort for developers to come in and take advantage of, I believe Alderman Moore gave us an opportunity for a 25-year tax abatement. That was approved by LCRA in 2022. And so that particular tax abatement allows us an opportunity to recapture taxing that was still available for that particular building. Meaning abatement doesn't mean that the taxes go away, but the taxes have been structured so that it's now based on the current value of the building. That particular building, again, has been there since 1898. You probably know the history better than I do, but it is a William Ittner building, which, again, allows it a certain designation among other school buildings. With that, I'm proud to say that the second designation that particular area has, as of October 10th, I will be traveling to Jefferson City to vote on the nomination of the Ville Historic District. So that's huge in that it took us from O.L. Shelton several years ago, taking that local district and now turning it into a state and a national district where 236 units capturing Simmons and Sarah Lou as the anchor will now be a part of a local and national historic district. And so that school is integral not only to the Ville, but North City in general, just because we've not seen that type of development or structured development in this particular area. So it's not just one school, it's the entire community. In addition, proud to say, this is my 5th year trying for LIHTC. I actually received a CDA allocation for the first time, so that means we're on our way this year. We are strategically on our way to make sure that the cost of my renovation still maintains my ability to make that particular project available for seniors and affordable housing. Okay, so even though my costs have increased, Buy America, Build America, all of the other various requirements that I have under LIHTC, it's still available for low-income housing, the way that we've structured, again, the capital stack and making sure that we take advantage of all of the opportunities under the state of Missouri that we have to finish that particular project. Okay, I know that was a mouthful, but I've been waiting to share that because all of this stuff has just happened within the last 2 weeks. And so for the last year, I probably lost a few tiles on the roof, and the insurance that we had required us to do various things like removing the playground and start demolition to just make sure that the building is structured and safe throughout the community. And so you did a great job of transitioning to me in that you locked maintenance-wise. Every single opening in that building is locked from both interior and exterior. And so it's very safe, it's available, and that the community can see that it sits there as an opportunity, but it's not such that it attracts any type of nuisance activity, or someone will see it as an opportunity again to cause some type of derelict activity. In addition to that, I am a member of the community. I volunteer every single weekend with the complementing properties that we have based in Simmons. So under the Chapter 99, we have now 47 probably LRA properties that we cut every 2 weeks, just mainly because of the interesting activity in the area as far as the dumping and things of that nature. Cleaned an alley last weekend. And so that allows me to keep an eye on Simmons and to make sure that that community is on its way up. Finally, I did mention the May 2025 tornado. I did lose 2 buildings myself, and so Illuminous Gardens, which is a few blocks away from Simmons, had received funding for its affordable housing for seniors. Unfortunately, due to the damage of that particular tornado, it is not available for housing. And so my push and every single request that I can get for a letter of support is to now help 36,000 that were already on the waiting list for St. Louis Housing Authority, and now my seniors that only had Homer G. Phillips, Illuminous Garden, and the other communities that have been completely populated for years now. I got to bring that inventory to the community again for affordable housing and for my seniors. And so my request for the letter of support is just that. Help me help the community that's in dire need at this point.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Hughes?
I've first just some general questions about how low-income housing tax credits work, because I'm not very familiar with them at all. I know there's a state low-income housing tax credit and a federal one, and what the most you can have total is 9%?
That is correct, the competitive piece.
And is it 4% state and 5% federal, or does it depend?
It's 9% across the board. The 4% is a different program that's non-competitive, and the 9% is the competitive piece.
Okay, so it'd be 9% state and federal, but
That is
and it's
correct.
competitive, and there's the non-competitive 4% one.
That's
Okay,
correct.
got it.
The reason I did not apply for the 4%, the non-competitive piece, is truthfully that would leave another larger capital stack gap, if you will, and any additional funding that I would receive potentially that's not slated for low income, it would raise my rents. And so truthfully, that's why I've had to continue to reapply for low-income housing tax credit. Had I just gone another route, say for example, construction lending at these rates, 8 and 9%, that is a direct impact on my rent.
And I understand how tax abatements and tax increment financing work and how that affects SLPS's budget. I'm not, do the low-income housing tax credits in any way affect the school's budget?
No, in fact, I do just the opposite. Because that particular Chapter 99 is a blighting effort to incentivize developers to come back and offer opportunities. The more housing that I introduce to the market, the more opportunities you have for taxes.
Right. Any more questions? Well, I would like to say that little church right to the right of,
Belgrade?
I go there.
Excellent.
So
You and
it's-
Kimberly Ann Collins.
So it's refreshing to see that the school is going to hopefully be used for something and just not be an eyesore. Because I still live in the area, so I know what the tornado has done to that area. So it would be a nice improvement, and I appreciate that you taking your personal time to help clean up the neighborhood. So I just want to say that.
I would like to say one other thing too, with the LIHTC piece, part of the incentive for development projects is to offer what they call supportive services. In that supportive services, I reached out to my neighborhood. So right now, Julia Davis is impacted, but they're also going to provide additional services once we come online. Tandy Recreation Center, they have senior services as well. That will also be a part of the campus. And Board of Elections. The executive director that we have that will be on site for that particular community pays direct attention to our seniors in the area and goes out to help with voting. So rather than having the seniors to have to travel, we're trying to do the exact opposite. We're bringing the Board of Election there at that particular site. And we're working with the master gardeners to actually have an open market in that particular green space that's on the back. So my seniors that right now don't have access to, I don't have a grocery store in that particular area. So the line of thinking is everything that we don't have, bring it to that particular site, not just for Simmons, but again, making it an integral part as it has been, you know, for my community too.
I would ask one more question.
Absolutely.
Is it going to be 50-50 pertaining to low income and seniors, I'm supposing?
It's 100% of both. It's 100% low-income housing, and it's 100% 55 and older as far as my seniors.
Any more questions?
Yes, I have a question. I ask this at every time someone comes in. What is your definition of low income versus affordable housing? Because I heard you say low income and then affordable.
It's both, meaning that I have to use verbatim the language that's required for the low-income housing tax credit, that being the 30, 60, and 90, I believe, if my numbers are correct. But 30 and 60 definitely as the AMI, average median income for that particular area. Affordable, that is, again, a larger opportunity to offer housing that's not market rate. You're welcome.
See. I have one more. Yeah, I know you're working on getting the financing lined up. Do you have a schedule or a timeline for when the first people move in?
Waiting on the city.
Okay.
As soon as you can get me the funding, and I mean you as in the city in general, city, county, state, as soon as I have an opportunity to secure all of those levels of funding, Affordable Housing Trust Fund just opened up as well. All of those opportunities for funding historic tax credits, state and local, state and national. I mean, all of those have a different timeline in terms of when they pay out and allocate the funds. So it's almost like dominoes. I receive one, and then the next lines up, and then the next lines up. Right. And so although I have my closing with both the historic and the LIHTC credits, I have to sell those, receive those funds back from the investors, and then start the process. If I had my way, E.M. Harris, hope you're listening, gave me 12 months in terms of how long it'll take me to actually complete my renovation, and that's because of the strong structure of the building. I only have 2 areas, even post tornado, that have a particular area of interest. Otherwise, that full gut rehab, 12 months for me to complete the project based on my funding.
And in terms of a letter of support, this is partly a question for you, I think, and partly a question for everybody, or just to make sure that I understand. So would it be a letter of support from the St. Louis Public Schools Board of Education as opposed to this real estate committee? In other words, this real estate committee would be making a recommendation about whether or not the full board should submit a letter of support. Is that, I got that right? Okay.
And for me, the semantics doesn't matter.
Okay.
It just shows that a city entity believes in this project and what it means to the community. And truthfully, I probably have about 67, and I continue to ask for levels of support just to show the distinction of the project here in St. Louis as opposed to the other areas throughout the state, why this particular one is distinct from those other applications.
I just want to say thank you for coming here in person.
Oh, sure.
It means a lot. Thank you.
No, it means a lot to me, truthfully, for being invited.
Any more questions? No? Well, I will need someone to make a motion to accept the letter of support for Simmons Mark project.
I make a motion to provide Fleur de Lis a letter of support from St. Louis Public Schools for the Mark Simmons Development Project for their low-income housing tax credit application.
Could I get a second?
I think it's Simmons Mark, right?
That's correct.
Like the Simmons Mark is
Yes.
the official name.
Yes.
Second.
Thank you. On the question? Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Dr. Borche,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sir?
Yeah, but we didn't do that one for the
They,
post.
according to their funding packet, they have to give us notification, but they didn't ask for letters of support. One other one did, but they didn't come. So I'm guessing that they don't want it anymore.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll say it on mic. Thank you.
All right. Like a motion to adjourn?
I move to. Yeah. I move to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Rice Statutes of Missouri 610.021.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Dr. Borche,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes.
Yes.
We are adjourned to closed session at 3:53 p.m.